Want to revisit an old topic from a few years ago, but before we do that, behind me is a list of companies that were directly involved in the Epstein files. If they think they can get away with it, I say they can't get away with knowing a day of peace in their entire life. Boycott them all and make sure that the message is loud and clear. Moving on. One of my most frequently mentioned videos that I constantly see crop up for my notifications again is my old video talking about Class 1A from My Hero Academia versus the French Miraculous team from Season 6 of, well, Miraculous Ladybug. Some things have changed since that video, so I find I might as well do a brief little update right now. Start with the French Miraculous team, since unironically that's going to be a bit easier to do. Since the French Miracles team are all relative to Ladybug and Cat Noir, it's a bit easy to kind of get a good idea about how powerful the group is in general. Plus, we can also go by what the other akumatized villains were able to do, since they were created from lesser Miraculouses, like the Butterfly, and of course the Senti monsters from the Peacock. Most characters in the series should be at least around city level, and this is me being pretty generous in terms of lowballing them a little bit, due to the fact that characters such as Stormy Weather were capable of saying that they'd be able to freeze all of Paris pretty much in a relatively short amount of time. And on top of that too, they did say in general that they, in later appearances, they'd be capable of creating volcanoes so big that they would be able to jettison Earth off its axis, which is insane. Combine that with the fact that we also have characters like the Bubbler, who's able to take pretty much every adult in Paris relatively quickly, the Pigeon, who can pretty much just lift the Eiffel Tower off the stratosphere into space almost, and also the Mime being able to cut through that and multiple buildings. And overall, I don't think it's really a hot take to say that Miraculous can be around city level, due to the fact that Ladybug and Cat Noir never seem to physically struggle that hard with most of these characters. It's usually 9 times out of 10 because of the fact that they have to deal with their hacks. Speed-wise, it's even simpler. Most versions of Ladybug and Cat Noir, even during like their earlier adventures, should have at least light speed scaling due to the amount of lasers, beams, and rays they've been able to dodge consistently or deflect. Also, we have, again, other akumatized characters like Star Train, who is able to pretty much cross like multiple like the Milky Way galaxy in a relatively short amount of time. We also have the spacesuits for both Ladybug and Cat Noir, which have been able to travel across space, which should get them to sub-relativistic to light speeds just due to how fast they're able to travel. Long story short, they're pretty busted. Class 1A by comparison is a bit rough due to the fact that they kind of range pretty wildly in terms of strength. Starting off with Deku first, he should be multi-continental due to his final feat, using the Embers of One For All, so not even the strongest version of One For All, or the strongest version of Deku we've seen. He was able to affect a countrywide storm and dispel it, while at the same time also affecting weather in another part of the country. That is insane. And also, too, there were multiple statements that through his fight with Shigaraki that he needed to stop him or else he'd destroy the world. Pretty simple. Speed-wise, I would also put Deku at around relativistic due to the fact that Deku at his like absolute fastest was able to react to Shigaraki and even outpace him during their fight. The same Shigaraki who has been able to blatantly react to light beams in the past. As for the other characters, it gets a bit dicey in terms of their scaling. Kaminari being there and a lot of characters being able to react to his lightning or at least pace alongside him can put them around massively hypersonic. For most of the team, and also too with characters like Mineta, like Aoyama, or like Hagakure, some of their attacks have been around like city block at least multi-city block in general. Again, there's a huge range of abilities here. On top of that too, like some of the higher tiers from like Todoroki and Bakugo, since they were able to harm some of the top tiers like Dabi, and also characters like Shigaraki with All For One possessing him. And of course also like All For One himself, they've been calced at around country level just due to the amount of damage that it takes to actually harm or do any real hits on those characters. Remember, Shigaraki with All For One was able to tank an entire nuke, and the fact that like Prime All For One was also getting done up by Bakugo at basically 1 HP, I think says a lot. Still, though, there's some pretty decent abilities here. And Class 1A obviously has more experience and more tactical knowledge than the French Miraculous team, who at best would have been doing the hero gig for about a year, some about a couple of months. Real clincher here is really just the amount of hacks, and I'm just going to kind of go over some of the ones that I think could counteract each other and will actually be a problem. Some abilities like Ryoko's weather manipulation and also the goat's creation ability should be hard counter mostly by like Momo and her ability to create stuff. And obviously the elemental manipulation at play with Todoroki, Bakugo, Deku, and Kaminari. The problem is that once we get into some of the other abilities, Deku is going to break his back carrying Class 1A. And even then, they're still probably going to lose. Deku has a lot of natural resistances against most miraculous superpowers due to the fact that with Danger Sense, not only will we be able to dodge a good portion of set abilities and also be able to at least parse through stuff like Rena Rouge's illusions, but on top of that too, with Black Whip, he should have a great defense against most abilities and also be able to protect his allies. Float and Smokescreen allow him to make clean getaways, and on top of that too, Deku should have resistance against mental attacks, so the pig's abilities won't work. And on top of that too, Deku should be able to deny at least a couple of possible fates or predictions due to the fact that Deku has been able to do that in the past. Overall, Deku's going to be a monster here, but even with all those abilities and the fact that he should be able to, as a last-minute gamble, transfer aspects of One For All to the rest of the Miraculous team, since they have no soul resistances, be able to at least permanently take out some in the fight, I still don't think it will be enough. Starting off of our main two here, Ladybug can possibly, through the Lucky Charm, create anything she needs to win, which could include the Cork-destroying bullets, which should still work on majority of the cast. On top of that, too, Cat Noir, through Miraculous Cat Noir, can destroy even aspect things like memories. So, because of that, legitimately, the rest of Class 1A could just straight up, like, be mind-wiped, like Men in Black. Rooster Bold, through his ability, can get a power that's so hyper-specific that it could probably counter most quirks on the list. The Ox and Turtle can functionally give immunity to all superpowers. The Peacock can also create a sentient monster that would be able to pretty much deal with most of Class 1A. We also have the Bee Miraculous, which could also freeze everyone for a little bit. And of course, my two least favorite abilities, the Snake and the Bunny. The Snake and the Bunny are broken. The Snake would be able to pretty much rewind time as many times as it takes in order to actually win the day. And also with the Bunny playing like backup, not only is time travel completely possible, but also every single version of every single time stream will be beamed into the Bunny Miraculous holder's head, which basically means that Deku can negate fate all he wants. It's only a matter of time before they realize that he's the biggest threat and then take him out first through any of the other one-shot hacks abilities that I just mentioned. This fight used to at least be a little bit fair due to the fact that like Miraculous holders, most of them at least, could only use their power once. However, due to pretty much like season 6 and also months of training, everyone here can utilize their incredibly OP and reliably one-shot capabilities consistently forever. And the only thing that Class 1A would have to do is somehow not only get through most of these abilities, but also figure out a way to like get rid of all the Miraculouses. Deku would also could potentially do this with Danger Sense and maybe having god tier level battle IQ, but then you lose your biggest link and then you get hit with a bunch of people who are pretty much stronger than most of your heaviest hitters. Yeah, it's wraps. But please tell me, who do you think wins, and also how do you think this matchup would go? I still think it's super interesting and I would love to hear your thoughts. Have a nice rest of the day.